Hello, and welcome to episode 229 of The Joy of Coding. My name is Mike Conley. It's so good to have you here. We're going to be hacking on some Firefox stuff today. I'm very excited for that. Let's get down to business and defeat the Huns. Starting with my screen. Here we are. It's October 21st, 2020. It's episode 229. We're almost at episode 250. I'm not sure if that's a milestone or not, but we're going to probably get there, if my math is correct, just sometime, just a little bit into 2021. If you have ideas on things that we could do that's kind of fun or special to commemorate the 250th episode of The Joy of Coding, let me know. You can either send me a message on Twitter. If you can find this agenda, I'll talk about the agenda in a sec. Or you can also click on the rate this episode link, which I will provide in just a second. In fact, maybe I'll start there. Hi, everyone. If this is your first time watching the stream and it seems really unorganized or that I'm kind of hopping around all over the place, that's how it goes. That's how this stream works. No plan survives breakfast. I don't know what's going to happen today. I have a sense of what I want to work on, but things might go wrong. I might get stuck. We might get rabbit holed, or who knows what'll happen. We might get some stuff done. We'll see. It's a real grab bag. That's the first thing. The second thing is that the agenda that we're looking at with all these handy dandy links is something that you have access to. If you are watching this on Air Mozilla, well, currently I'll point out the Air Mozilla stream is currently broken. I wasn't able to get it to work this week. Fingers crossed for next week. But if you're watching this recording on Air Mozilla, then there's hopefully some link somewhere, either below or above this video, to the agenda. If you're watching this on YouTube, the link is in the video description. And if you're watching this on Twitch, well, I'm about to drop the link into the Twitch chat. Here it goes. Hello, Ocris in the Twitch chat, and here is the agenda. Boom. And so all of these links are available to you, including links to the episode guide. So I haven't actually talked about the episode guide for a couple of episodes, and I'd like to do that today, particularly because I think there are a couple of pull requests waiting for me, and maybe now is a good opportunity to merge those in. So the episode guide, if you've never been there, is a completely viewer-driven resource that allows you to, go back and see what I talked about in episode 200, for example. Like, what did we do for episode 200? Apparently, I ate spicy food and did Advent of Code, writing some Rust. And what happened in episode 180? Well, we worked on these bugs and, talked about IRC and switching away from IRC. And I was trying out Matrix, and eventually Mozilla switched to Matrix as our default, sort of chat service, chat protocol. So the episode guide is something that you might find handy. It is also something that you can contribute to. Maybe you're watching this and you have your own notes, your own addenda, your own corrections. Maybe you want to expand on something I talked about. Well, the episode guide is hosted on GitHub. You can send me a pull request to the repository. And if you're not sure what I mean by pull request or repository, there are links in the agenda talking about what that means and a contributing guide and, how you can contribute. So if we actually go to the GitHub page, apparently there are some potential security vulnerabilities in one of the dependencies, but that's okay because I've actually looked at that, and that's for stuff that's not actually exposed to the internet, so don't worry about it. But there is a pull request waiting for us here for episodes 226 and 227. This was opened 15 days ago by SmurfD, a prolific contributor to the episode guide, SmurfD. And so I'm going to look at these right now. Maybe we can get these merged in as our first step in today's Joy of Coding stream. And then we'll work on some Firefoxy things. So the episode 226 happened on September 16th. That's correct. And the link, let's make sure that these links still work. I'm curious to know whether or not it'll link correctly. Interestingly, it doesn't, but that might be because the new Air Mozilla links are all broken. The old Air if we're looking for episode 226, I think we have to do something a little bit special. Let's see here. Episode Joy of Coding, episode 226. It's in here, but I think the links all got broken. So here it is. And so I'm going to copy this. I don't think we need the search query part. That should work. and I'm going to update the link in here. And I don't know what we're going to do about all of the other episode guide links to Air Mozilla, because they're all going to be busted. So we're going to have to figure out something to do there. In the meantime, you can watch, maybe you can search New Air Mozilla, and maybe there'll be a way we can just sort of like en masse migrate all of those links, because this is tied to our video provider now, Panopto, and that's maybe not so great. We need some redirects. Okay, so here's the Evernote agenda. That's correct. What did we talk about? I talked about there was no episode the following week, and then we were working on adding device indicators and how we draw our own menus, and tips from the coach. Tips from the coach. Patches are always welcome, but please see to it that there is a bug filed first. Tips from the coach. I'm not sure what that means, but I like it. Maybe I'm the coach. Please see to discuss if the patch is something that will be merged, so you don't waste your precious time. Oh, that's right. I remember talking about this. We were talking about how, like, it's best to engage before you spend a lot of time writing a patch that we might not want to accept, because it turns out we don't necessarily want to go down a particular route or take a certain approach. So it's best to engage first before you spend a lot of time writing a patch if you're hoping to get it merged. And that's true for, I think, the majority of open source projects. Like, if you just show up with a patch, there's no guarantee, even if that patch works beautifully, there's no guarantee that that patch will be merged in or upstreamed, because it might not be where the product or project maintainer wants the project to go. Meaning of life, dig holes. I'm not sure what that means, and if that's a reference to Dig, the website, but I'm going to remove that G just so there's no ambiguity. And otherwise, I think this is fine. I'll make sure that the form is correct. And then, let's see, episode 226, that's right. And we're going to commit these changes. We're going to update airmo link fix dig to dig. And then we're going to commit that change. It is quite nice that we're able to do those changes in line without me having to clone the repo. Or I already have a clone, having to like manipulate the repo directly. Okay, so the episode 227 happened on September 30th. That sounds right. Yes. And the Air Mozilla link is probably also going to be broken here. Yep. So episode 227. Here it is. Here's a share button. Maybe that'll be handy. Share. Yeah, we'll use that. So we're going to edit this file. This is something that, maybe we can set up some kind of redirect service so that we're not so beholden to the particular video service that we're using. We can add a layer of indirection. Scouting for picture-in-picture tab close issue. I talked about. Oh yeah, that's right. We were looking around and trying to get the Phantom Zone to work, and we never got that to work. But I think it's still a good idea if I can just figure out how to get it to work. Who knows? Maybe we'll look at that today. I don't think we'll look at that today, but fix airmo link. That all looks good. Thank you so much, Smurf D. Great contributions to the episode guide. I'm going to merge these in right now. So, thank you. Always thank your contributors. Comment. And if you yourself want to contribute to the episode guide, you're more than welcome to. As you can tell, I'm quite liberal with how I apply patch. Like, I'll just accept stuff. Okay, so what are we working on today? Now that we've got ourselves all set up. Okay, so here's the first thing. I want to update us a little bit on a bug we were working on last week. So we were talking about adding an API for privileged front-end code for adding BHR annotations. This is something we were working on last week. I don't actually know how far we got. I think we got to the point where maybe we were writing tests, or maybe we were dealing with build issues or something. But it landed. It landed yesterday. And so now we have these user interactions that can be defined at build time. and can be started and stopped at runtime so that we can annotate our background hang reports, which is really, really exciting. It's going to enrich our hang reporting infrastructure, or not really the infrastructure, the data that we collect through the hang reporting stuff. And that will allow us to more easily bucket and prioritize the hangs that get reported for BHR. So that's like the first step to enriching this stuff, and that's done. So what did I want to work on today? Well, there are a couple things that come to mind. I also want to add like Phantom Zone thing again. There are two things I want to look at. The first is actually this patch that I'm not assigned on, but I've been monitoring very closely. One of my teammates has been working very hard on this patch for like months, and it's finally ready to go. And then Bernard is his name, his colleague who's been working on this patch, and then is away, but the patch finally got reviewed, and we want to get it landed, but he currently is not available to rebase the patch. So I'm going to try and commandeer this on his behalf, rebase it, fix it up, and land it, because we think it's ready to go. So that's what I'm hoping to do to start today. If you're not sure what I mean by all those things, well, I'll kind of explain as I go. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to look and see where I am in Mozilla Central. Let me actually pump up the font a little so you can see what I'm doing. Sorry about the lighting. I just realized it's really dark in here. It's a gray day and the lights aren't very bright, but it's okay. I'm going to update to Central. Whoops, I didn't spell update correctly. Thank you. And we are going to pull the most recent revisions from Central. We're going to make sure we have the most up-to-date stuff. When you're rebasing, especially if you're trying to rebase on like top, you don't want to do it more than once. So make sure you've got the most recent stuff, and hopefully you merge and rebase within a window of time where like other stuff doesn't clobber it. Like you can get unlucky where you've like rebased a thing on top of what you had pulled, and then by the time you attempt to land it, something else has caused it to bit rot and not apply cleanly. I'm hoping that's at least in my experience, pretty rare. It can happen in code that's changing very frequently. But hopefully that won't happen this time, because that's like, oh, now I have to rebase again. Joy of joys. So I've pulled the latest stuff, and I'm going to switch to artifact builds because those will build faster, and we're only doing front-end stuff here. Now I'm going to apply Bernard's patch. The way I do that is I get the ID of the revision here, D71796, and I use mozfab patch apply to here. And I'm using apply to here because if I don't use apply to here, mozfab patch is going to attempt to apply the patch on the same revision that Bernard had been working on. And look at all the stuff that breaks. I actually realize now that there's a bunch of stuff broken because I had attempted to apply this patch yesterday. And when you use mozfab patch, it actually is using patch, like the Unix command patch under the hood, the patch command. And if it creates files and then bails out, and those files never get tracked, it'll just leave those files around. And I think that's what's happening here. Like it's attempting to like patch file or create files that already existed. So I'm going to revert, and we're going to try this again because I should have cleaned my directory up. So let's do that again. And the easiest way in my mind to do all of this is to realize that all of these changes occur within Browser Components new tab. And so I'm going to revert all of the changes to committed files, or like tracked files. That's the first step. And then the second step is to purge, not mock purge, hg purge Browser Components new tab. And what that's going to do is it's going to eliminate all of the untracked files from this path. So now I'm going to rerun apply to here. It's applying. Okay, so fewer errors this time, but we do have an error where we've got like this failed application of this patch. AS router test, like the things aren't applying correctly. So the first thing I want to do is actually take a look and see what we have inside of Components new tab, what the untracked files are. So there's a bunch of modified files, but there are a bunch of these untracked files too. And so these are the ones that I'm hoping to, oh, and there are 2 files that are missing. So we have to like remove them. HGRM, that one. We're gonna HGRM this one. Watchman is complaining. And then we have to HG add all of these changes. This is kind of annoying. There's probably a clever bash way of doing this where you can like filter out everything that starts with a question mark and then, well, let's see here. HG add help. Is there a way I can curse into subrepository? Add specified files, schedule files, version control. The files be added to the repository. Undo and add all files to the repository. Return 0. So what I can do is just add a directory. That's handy. So if I do HG add actors, there are no untracked files that we don't want to add in that directory. So I think I can do HG add that directory, and I think it'll work. Yeah, okay. So then that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to do the big directories first. HG add here. And then the tests. I think I can probably just do this. And now let's redo status. Oh, I accidentally added a reg file. I accidentally added this one. We're going to do HG forget. Forget. That's the one we're trying to fix. So let's not add that. Let's redo our status. So we're going to add that, and we're going to add this. And now I'm going to create a commit using the same commit message that Bernard used. And I'm also going to set the user to be Bernard. What's the best way of doing this? View patch, view raw diff. Come on. All right, well, I need is like Bugzilla, Eric, B, Gary. Do that. Then we're going to use the same commit message. It's a bit annoying that I have to do this after a failed MozFab patch. It because it's using the patch command rather than like HG patch or whatever. It falls over pretty brutally. Okay, so we're gonna do this. We're gonna get rid of this because Andre didn't review it, and then we're going to add this, and then we have to add this special line differential revision to associate it with this revision. In Fabricator, we add that special line. Ooh. Oh, right. So we're gonna have to figure all these out. This is part of the rebase, I think, that we have to sort out. Okay, so far so good. We've got ourselves a commit that's ready to go. We just need to fix this AS router file. Now let's start by opening up asrouter.test.js. So we're going to open up asrouter.test.js.reg. And we're going to see these are all the changes that we tried to apply and failed to apply. And most of it's actually removal, if you'll notice. And I wonder why the removals failed. What happened recently to asrouter.test.js? Let's take a quick peek. We'll look at the log. It looks like over the last couple of days, a number of landings, I think these 3 are probably the most relevant. We're going to take a look at these individually. Have changed AS router test. Oops. Okay, so in this case, they added some properties to attribution stuff. So we're going to have to make sure we persist that. So basically they were making the stubs and the sort of the mocks, they were fleshing those out a bit more. In that case, and then AS router tests here. Similarly, it was just like sort of a minor modification to the test. And then down here, added like enabled. Is feature enabled? Okay, so we're gonna have to be pretty careful. And then stuff got added in here. We're gonna have to be pretty careful. This is not gonna be an easy rebase. Stuff has been added, and that's why we're not applying cleanly here. And we're gonna have to be really careful. So the first thing that the patch tried to do, like the change tried to do, is alter this subtest called describe on message, and most of it actually got cleared out. So let's just check to see what changes have happened within this one part of the test recently, just to make sure it's, you know, I'm okay to just kind of mess with it. Describe on message. This was 2018, 2019, 2018, 19. So these are all quite old changes in this chunk of the test. I'm seeing the date here on the second line here, 2019. So I think we're safe. If I see 2020, that's when I'm gonna like, my eyes are gonna go like, I'm gonna zoom in a little bit. And there might be other ways of doing this. This is not necessarily a perfect process, but this is the way I'm eyeballing rebasing this patch. So the conclusion I'm going to come to, based on what I've seen so far, am I still inside this thing? Yeah. And I was here. See if we can get to the bottom of it. 18, 19, 18, 18, 19. No changes yet in 2020. Oh, there's one. There's one set for stun. So snippets preview message don't provide to a provider. Here's a change, and then here's a change from 2020. So we're gonna have to keep our eyes on that. Here's another one. Now, hold on a second. These are from January. So actually we're okay. Those 2020 changes happened in January, very early this year. So actually I'm not concerned about those at all. We're looking for October 2020, because I know that this stuff had been rebased within the past couple of weeks. That's October 2019, or 2018 rather. October 2018. We're almost there. Hopefully we're not going to be doing too much of this today, but it might be just this, folks. So strap in. Strap in. We're in for a fun ride. March again. August. Okay, and then all of this stuff is also August 2020, August 2019, it's 2019. And like, if we find that, oh, okay, this is a little more recent, 8th of September, but that's okay. if we find that there's nothing reasonably new in here, then we can just hand reapply what patch failed to do itself. January 2020. And my conclusion there will be that patch failed to probably apply it due to misaligned line numbers or something. Or like the lines not being where it expected them to be. That's one of the disadvantages of using patch over like the HG import or git import, where I think, or even if you'd had this patch pushed to a repository somewhere that we could like merge it in, I think Mercurial and Git would both be a lot smarter about trying to merge. Actually, I just had an idea. Folks. Okay, I just had an idea. I'm gonna amend this commit, change the commit message to be hand rolled rebase. I'm gonna put that in the title. So every time you push to Fabricator, whoops, don't mean to open Thunderbird, exit. Every time you push to Fabricator, we actually do end up creating some kind of repository push, because we do remote builds to do like static analysis. And the most recent push was revision 353.207, and Harbor Master completed builds 353.207. So if we click on that, do source code analysis, the buildable container, where's the like there somewhere there is a revision, and maybe we can buildable 2549702. Is that what it was called? 249702? No. Oh yeah, buildable 249702, and it passed. Here's the CI tree herder jobs. And let's take a look at the SHA for the commit. 5C67. Well, I guess whenever it applies it, hand applies it, it's not going to have the same SHA. But because we know that it's associated with 249702, which was build 34744, which happened, hang on, 34744, 249702, which did build 34744, and 249702. This is so cryptic, but 249702 is what got kicked off whenever he updated to diff 353207. Okay, I am now confident that this revision that was pushed to try by our automation when he pushed it up to do like basic static analysis, this is a repository revision that we can pull down. We can actually like get this. So hold up. So I'm gonna re-update to central. We're gonna try something here. We're gonna mock purge or hg purge browser components new tab. I don't think there's any lingering stuff in there, but just in case I'm doing that, and then I'm gonna do hg import cherry pick this patch, please, and let's see what happens. Okay, so different kinds of failures, but they're not as extensive. Only 1 of 4 chunks, 1 of 25, and 1 out of 26. I argue that this is a better situation, because if we take a look at browser glue or AS router test.js reg. I'll bet you that this is a lot simpler. I am wrong. I thought it'd be a lot simpler, but it looks like this did not apply cleanly still, and it's a lot. We're still gonna have to do that. So I'm not sure if we're in a better position. But this is interesting. The browser glue also didn't apply cleanly. Why not? All right, well, let's hand apply that ourselves. Add the import button if this is the first startup. Okay. That's why that didn't apply cleanly, but we're going to do it ourselves. So that well, hold on a second. I've got one more thing I want to try before we continue. Revert everything. I want to try one more thing. And now this is something that I don't know if I recommend this, but I'm going to try pulling from try. Not importing, pulling. So that means I get all of the revisions, like the ancestry of this revision, which I think might help Mercurial figure out how to do a rebase more effectively. So I'm actually going to try that first. And then I'll go back to this other technique. Okay. So hopefully we've got no other changes. Oh, there's a bunch of stuff in here. We're going to purge. HG purge, new tab, just purge it. All right. Let's try this again. We're going to try and pull this revision. Now, I don't know if I recommend this for everyone, pulling from try, but we're going to see. Okay, that was a lot simpler than I thought it would be. We pulled it, and it's associated with an earlier revision, like that. Its ancestry is associated with an early revision. And now, if I do the rebase command, Mercurial will hopefully be a little bit smarter because it knows about the ancestry. It can maybe reason more effectively when attempting to rebase and merge. So, okay, we're hitting some merge conflicts. So maybe I'm wrong. I could very easily be wrong here, people. Dog's having a dream. You can't see him. You can't hear him, but he's twitching like crazy because he's having a dream. Akris asks, so yeah, while we're waiting for this merge to fail, Akris asks, do I need to restart the browser when I toggle JavaScript options warp? Yes, you do, I believe. Warp, if you're not familiar with it, is our new, I think, JITting. Like it's a part of how we're doing JIT inside of just-in-time compilation inside of SpiderMonkey, our JavaScript engine. And there was a post about it in Dev Platform, which is our mailing list. Let's see if we can find that post. Warp. Dog fooding warp. So here you go. Check this out. Warp. And it's on by default in Nightly right now. I actually think it may have just ridden the trains to beta too. So merging, and then we failed to merge correctly with browser glue again. That's okay. We're going to take a look. So we've got our conflict markers here. This is something I can more easily reason about. So yeah, there was another task added in the interim. That's okay. We're going to include this task as well, and we're done. So we can now tell Mercurial, that browser glue is no longer conflicted. And then we have ASRouter test.js, which failed to merge correctly. And this one I'm more worried about. I got a feeling it's just going to like complain about this whole file. Yeah. And I think it's because in the patch, something got removed. Like this entire chunk got removed. And we need to make sure that that's still okay. Okris asks, do you know Speedometer 2.0 benchmark? It seems to stop at 18,480 and was wondering if it's due to warp. But since disabling it requires browser restart, I will have to check it later. Yeah, I am familiar with the Speedometer benchmark. I know that we run it in our automation. I would be very surprised if warp was causing that, because our test automation would catch that, because we run the speedometer test all the time. So I don't know. I know, Okris, you tend to hand roll your own builds. Perhaps you've disabled something in one of your builds, in the build that you're testing. All right, we need to figure out what got added or removed to this section of the tests, which was this on message section. I think we were just looking at this. We're kind of back at square one, but that's okay, because we're gonna figure this out. I don't think it was this, because this is in describe ASRouter, not describe on message. And if we look for these changes, I think we're concerned with everything from line 1477 to line 2983. And that's not here, because this is in the hundreds. There is a change here in line 2841, where someone added this attribution thing. App constants platform value should force attribution. App constants platform. So was there a pre-existing test that maybe Bernard wrote that replaced this? Here we go. Force attribution. So these tests got written instead. Okay, so we might have to somehow modify this test, which is ASRouter parent process message handler test, to include the new tests, the test modification that got changed here. Let's see here. So what happened was we stub out Mac attribution earlier on. Where does that happen? When we set globals inside of each test. And do we do that in here as well? Side. No. Bookmark. This is very confusing. So, what does this test do? It should force attribution and update providers. So whenever we handle the force attribution message, we expect fake attribution code clear cache to be called, get attr data sync to be called, update message providers to be called, and load messages from all providers to be called. And then the test here, we assert force attribution to be called. It doesn't sound like we expect update message providers to be called. Clear cache, get attr data. Fake attribution code. What happens if I try and run that test right now, I wonder? So the way you actually run these tests is kind of strange. Maybe you've seen me do this before, but you have to say like npm bundle first. Make sure everything's built correctly. Whoops. Do I have that right? Oh, npm run bundle. It's going to build everything, and then I do npm run test mc unit. This is going to run the unit tests, and I expect this to explode gloriously because the yeah. So it's gonna fail because of the conflict markers. So maybe let's temporarily just get rid of all of these lines that we expect to just straight remove, or originally had just been removed. And we're gonna run the tests now. Here it goes. Scooby-Dooby-Dooby-Doo. Okay, so all the tests pass. So the question is, does the test need to be modified to take these attributions? The only reason this was changed was presumably because we did something different whenever the platform wasn't the empty string. Dublin code on Windows. Did we? Handler, handle message, force attribution. So this ensures that the component calls into force attribution. It doesn't actually test the calling of force attribution. AS router test. So maybe those should go back. Yeah, all these like calls to force attribution, we might still want to test these. Let's see what happens if we pull this out. Then we're going to describe force attribution. Whoops. Then we're going to unindent these. What happens if we do this? Now what's fake attribution code? That does exist. Okay, good. Let's run that. Two failed because should double encode on Windows failed. Set referrer URL is not defined. What is set referrer URL? Oh, it's a spy that we set up. Okay, so maybe we have to do that. All right, let's try that. Oh, I see other red lights. That's not good. What could this be? 27 failures now. Let's look at the first one. After each hook for a double encode on Windows, AS router preferences is undefined. Is it because I did this? Hang on. I also think I can do like dot only. Let's just do that for now. Or is it describe dot only? I think it might actually be describe dot only. and not dot only at the end. Probably confused it by editing that file. All right, let's do it again. Okay. And then, right, all of these other failures because I only ran the one test. Okay. Let's run the rest of them now. Okay. Good stuff. So I think we've got this stuff in here now. The changes that were added in here. This doesn't appear to be necessary. I don't know why that's happening, but we're going to move on. So in this next one, it looks like in ASRouter test.js, it should record the reach event if any found. So yeah, that is something that used to be in the test. And let's see if that got moved somewhere. Oh no. Should record the reach event if found any. Did we lose some coverage here? How does this work? Should record the reach event if found any. And what are we talking about? We're describing on message the trigger. About reach in there. So for reach event is something that is handled by send trigger message. And then what tests that? Should call send with the correct trigger. Close this one up. Group field missing for messaging system reach ping. Where's the testing that happens? I think it's still in here. Handle. What's it called? It's an on message and then trigger message. Stub. Handle message request resolves. Messages. Spy and record event. I'm actually worried about losing all these tests in here. Okay, this, I know that this doesn't make sense because of the new mechanism that we use for messaging. Should send a message back to the target, to the target. Okay, I am now worried. I am now worried that I need to need info someone about this. Let's see. Hey, Andre, while trying to rebase this patch, I've noticed that these bugs, such and such, bug, and bug, such and such have landed in the interim. In the interim, each of these patches modified asrouter.test.js, which is why the rebase is not why the rebase is falling back to which is bit rotting, which has bit rotted this patch. Are we comfortable with this removal, with the removal of this section of asrouter.test.js? Since on message doesn't exist anymore, does it make sense to continue testing these? Does it make sense to continue testing these things but in a different way? Should we just go ahead? What should we do here? Okay. Gonna publish that. And unfortunately, I don't think we're going to be able to proceed beyond it. We need more information. info, Andre. All right, let's stop that there. And instead, let's work on something slightly different for the rest of the time block. I've got like 27 minutes. I want to show you a different bug. Hopefully I can show you this new bug. This is a Windows bug that got reported. Remember the WebRTC device indicators that I talked about that we were working on not that long ago? Let me show you what I'm talking about. This thing down here. See, we got this little nice device indicator here that allows us to control sharing. And so even if Firefox is not in the foreground, you know, oh, I'm sharing my camera. And I can control sharing. So we worked on that. We added that. One of the things that we have noticed is that if the user has high DPI display, or not high DPI, but like, let's say, excuse me, they've updated their display settings so that it's like zoomed in. How do I do this actually? Advanced scaling. Let's say 150. Oh, I don't want to sign out. No, don't make me sign out. Okay, let me look at the actual bug report. Maybe there's a better way of doing this. Set DPI to anything above 100%. So Windows 10 set DPI. How do I do that? How to change DPI settings? Properties. Override high DPI scaling factor. What? Oh, scale and layout. That's what I want. Under display. Okay, that's what I want. So not this. Display. What? Now it's forcing me to... No. Control panel. Display. Are you kidding me? What's happening here? Right click, display settings. Oh, was I already in there? I was already in there. That's why. It's very unclear. Then scale and layout. Where's scale and layout? Oh, I was in the right area. Display resolution, display orientation. So yeah, 150 or something. So it wants me to sign out. We'll see if this works. Sign out. And now I have to like re-sign in. Hold up. Scooby-doop doot 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 doot. Putting in my PC password. Oh, that probably shut down my virtual machine. Great. Oh well. So I expected the displays to be different. Why is the display the same? I should be at... Come on. 150. Is it because I cleared it out? I got a feeling I've greatly confused Windows. Apply. Sign out. Sign back in. Okay. Well, this is annoying. Maybe it's because I'm using remote desktop. Resolutions. Because what I need to do is simulate a high DPI display on Windows. And I've got my virtual VMware Fusion here. Maybe I can do it with this. Let's try this. In the meantime, Crumpled Wing says you will need to use the console, not remote desktop. Well, I don't know what you mean by that, Crumpled Wings. Because this bug is very visual, and I cannot do that with just a console. Unless you mean that I have to adjust the DPI settings from like PowerShell or something. Is that what you mean? I'm not sure what you mean. In the meantime, I'm going to try and change the DPI settings in here on my Windows 7 machine. That's bonkers. That makes you log out. But okay. Scooby-Doo-Doo-Doo. I don't remember what the password is, and then I remembered. Okay. Don't need Steam. Don't need GOG. All these things. Don't need those. Okay, so we've got our nice big icons. We're going to start up nightly. What? There we go. Okay, and then we are going to go to Talkie. We're going to start a chat, and we're going to say, sure, you can have access to my microphone. And here's the icon. And yeah, the context menu is way off. And I have a feeling that's because we're using screen pixels. We're not taking DPI into account when we calculate where to open up the dialog. That's the problem. I wish. Oh, Crumpled Wing says, I mean, what the virtual machine thinks is its monitor, not a remote session that defines a resolution. I see. I see what you mean. I don't know how to convince it. Unless I can tell RDP to change its display density. There's resolutions here. What happens if I do that? No? Preferences. Scoop-a-doo-doo-doo. No. RDP change DPI. You cannot change DPI settings. Computers running Windows 7. This was like a problem ticket that was filed. Use the DPI setting from the client. So I need, like, I have to tell the client Microsoft Remote Desktop set DPI. How do I do that? Resolution. Boom. Sure. No. Let's do it that. Let's do that. Maximum resolution. We're gonna see if this explodes things. Scooby-doo doo 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 doo. Well, I have something here. I have something off screen that you can't see because it's too big. Display. We're going to do optimize for Retina. Scooby-doo-doo-doo-doo-doo. Scooby-doo-doo-doo-doo-doo. Now, if I move this onto my Retina display, what happens? Whoop. Not much. Have I confused it? Notice that, like, I can shrink it down now. This is new. I can, like, crunch it. I wonder what will happen if I try and reproduce the issue now with this sort of weird DPI. Maybe I've confused it enough that I can reproduce a version of the bug. No, that's the right spot. Crumpled Wing says, either open the VM. So this isn't a VM. To be clear, this is not a VM. I'm remote desktoping into a non-VM. It's like an actual machine running somewhere. Or use something like VNC Server. Yeah, I could use VNC Server. What am I going to do? Type VNC.com. Ugh. Why can't I just do it with RDP? Why does it make it so hard? All right, what is typevnc.com? What is this recommendation I'm getting from the internet? Some kind of free VNC software. All right, this sounds like it's going to be annoying. Maybe what we'll do instead is we're just going to inspect the code. System status bar. This is the code that opens the menu. Right. Where is it? Here. Show pop-up at screen. And I suspect we need to update this to better handle DPI differences. And I'll bet you we can find some inspiration in other places in here. DPI. Get DPI. Constrain a potential move to failed screen. Position specified Windows screen logical pixels except when using per monitor DPI, in which case it's device pixels. So you can get the DPI scale, and then you can do mathematics here. So that might be looking at get device desktop to device scale. Where else do we use that? Getting bounds. Convert coordinates from desktop pixels, the parent coordinate space, to the Windows device pixel space. NSInt round. I wonder if this would do it. Like similar things like this. What does this function do? Oh, yeah. Okay, okay. I think desktop pixels. What is this? Move where it says desktop pixels, device pixels. Otherwise use 1.0. Okay. What happens if we update the code in here instead of just doing all that? If we do like, let's get the scale, double scale equals, then we're gonna get X and Y, X param, Y param, will this work, I wonder? What we can do, actually, we can test to see whether or not that regresses anything on our Windows machine. Let me actually update the preferences here to just like restore defaults. Actually, edit, display, default, yeah. Session resolution, resize, okay. Actually, I wonder if that would have been handy. Update session resolution on resize. Scoop-a-doo, dooba-dooba-dooba-dooba-doo. Boom, boom. Yeah, hey, that's what I'm talking about. No. Let's do that. Yeah, this is what I'm talking about. Is that better? No, that's still the same spot. Okay, well, at any rate, let's shut that down. Let's apply this patch. And see what happens. And then if it works correctly on this, what I can do is I can do a build and Send it to my Windows 7 VM. And see if it fixes the issue there where I can reproduce it. That might increase my confidence that I've got a fix here if I can test it. Oh, use of undeclared identifier. Get desktop device scale. It's like, what are you talking about? Okay. Device scale. That's something that is on NS Window. And we might have the NS window. Get nearest widget. We have the widget. NSI widget. Hang on. I want to, how do I like static cast NS window? Yeah. NS window, we can do that. So NS window NSWin equals static cast NS window star widget. If not, NSWin okay. Then we're going to say NSWin get desktop to device scale. Let's try that. All right, I think it's time for a freestyle rap. Let me see here. While waiting for this to build, let's get a free backbeat from Poddington Bear. Free backbeats, free music archive. This one's called Sonstages. Yo. Just kind of get into the groove. I am trying to fix this bug. Do you know what that's like? To try to fix a bug when you're a guy named Mike? I'm in my editor trying to change how Windows works. This editor, it's for the birds. Actually, that's not true. I like Sublime. I think it's pretty good, both the band and the editor. That's okay. If you don't like it, if you prefer VS Code, that's cool too. Lost my flow. I'm better with the ABAC rhyme scheme. I got no more rhymes up in my brain. I can't complain though. Going ham on Maine. All right, let's see if this build finished. All right, it did. Let's just see what happens when I run it. Okay, so we've got our icon here. Oh, permission denied. Oh, sorry, I forgot to approve the permission requests. Yes, allow the camera. So here's the camera, and that works correctly. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to package this up and then somehow get this over to my VM. I have an idea on how we can do that. So there's this thing. It's like wormhole, webwormhole.io that you can use to quickly transfer files back and forth. Now that we don't have Firefox Send, Moan of Silence, because a-holes like to take advantage, I'm going to use webwormhole. New wormhole. Please do not copy that QR code. Please do not race to suddenly do that too. Sure. In fact, hang on, let me just create a new one. In a sec. Brown, brown. Everything's Ruined by Faith No More. That's what I'm singing. Okay, so just got an upgrade here. Whatevs. We're going to go to a web wormhole on both sides. Gonna wait until this packaging is done. And then we're gonna send the build from this machine over here, over the web wormhole, to my virtual machine. Scooby-dooby-dooby-dooby-doo. Done. All right. Let's see here. So the build will be an obj default dist right here, right? No. Today's the 21st. It's right here. This is the build we want to send me. And we're going to create a wormhole. And we're going to copy that. Copy that. There we go. And I'm going to send this file from one machine to the other. What the? How did that work? Oh, yeah, okay. Save file. Now, this may or may not work, actually. This was just a guess that we can multiply by the scale factor in order to get the right positioning of the coordinates. And if I'm wrong, well, then I'm going to need to talk to probably some of our Windows experts. There's probably another example inside of NSWindow where we convert get x param. Where am I? This is Android. Get x L param. That's not exactly right. Screen to client. Window from point. Hit test point. Client to screen. All right. I think it worked. Got it. Now we can stop this other transfer because don't need it. Okay, what are we doing here? We're gonna go to talkie.io, start a chat. That's still not exactly right. Like if I click, yeah, that's wrong. That's still wrong. All right, I'm gonna have to ask some Windows people. But I'm gonna cap the stream here. Hey, thank you so much for watching episode 200 and what was this? Episode 229 of The Joy of Coding. You know, it was all over the place. We, you know, we were working on some tests and we hit a thing. Actually, I just realized I saw some traffic inside of Fabricator. Andre thinks we can go ahead and, like, the tests are important. OnMessage doesn't exist anymore. We don't want to block the patch further. Let's file a follow-up bug and we'll get the new tests landed in an appropriate place before the end of 84 nightly cycle. Okay, so we can actually just get rid of that chunk of tests for now, file the follow-up, and then work on getting those tests, like new tests, relanded. Sounds good. Thanks, Andre. Okay, I'm going to cap the stream here. Thank you so much again for watching episode 229 of The Joy of Coding. Let me know what you thought. Rate the episode right here. What did you think of the freestyle rap? You know, should I keep my day job or should I become like an underground rap superstar? Let me know. Smash that, rate this episode, hit the like, subscribe. Who knows? Whatever the buttons are in the video client that you're using, hit every button, find every link and click on them. Click and then keep clicking, and then tell your family to click on those links and all your friends, and just send links back and forth through instant messaging and be like, follow this link. That's what I recommend. And I will hopefully see you next week. So until then, have yourselves a great week. Take care. Bye-bye. See ya.